Hey cats, it's your midsole man, EDDBUD here. The viewers have been on to me asking me for an update on the Saucony Endorphin Pro 4. Carbon plate here, a super low weight, and very much tuned for that marathon distance. How though does it match up against some of the other contenders right now? The very characterful Nike ALPHAFLY 3, the quite excellent METASPEED Sky Paris from ASICS, and the slightly shorter cousin, the Saucony Endorphin Speed 4. Lots of comparisons and stats for you today. Let's get straight into it. Thanks for joining me on the channel. Help me to reach my dream of 1 million subscribers by hitting that button below. It's free of charge, don't you know? Also give this video a thumbs up, like, and comment to help out with the algorithm. Every little helps. Dankeschön. So some in-depth comparisons today against the Endorphin Pro 4. This is like a part 2 really of my versus comparison video. I checked out a few other models. This time we've got 3 that I think are reasonably close. Easily the widest shoe in today's video, the ALPHAFLY 3. There's some significant surface area here in the heel of the shoe. About 9.7 centimeters back here. It's easily the widest in the heel. Although in fairness, all super shoes these days are pretty wide in the forefoot. This one's only 0.5 of a centimetre wider than the others. It's still pretty considerable though. The Endorphin Pro 4 and the ALPHAFLY 3 weigh in pretty much the same for my UK size 11, US size 12. I've got about 247 grams here for both of those shoes. Now the heel stack back here in the ALPHAFLY 3, no matter what Nike tell you, it is bigger. I measure loads of shoes. My measurement system works flawlessly. Yeah, on this one, there's definitely more heel stack. I don't know what they're doing. I smell something fishy going on here. I think they're using some sort of tactics involving the beveled area of the heel. Don't forget that the stack height rules do actually utilize the measurement from the sample size, so maybe as you scale the shoes up it's not quite working out. I'm sure somebody at some point is gonna figure that out, but there's something weird going on with the measurements in this one. The METASPEED Sky Paris is significantly lighter than all of the other shoes in today's comparison. It's 40 grams lighter for my size at least against the ALPHAFLY 3 or the Endorphin Pro 4. On top of that, when you consider the Speed 4 is another 30 grams extra, it's going on for much heavier shoe. I think everybody's expectations now are very low in terms of weight. Okay, first up is the ALPHAFLY 3. I mean, these two shoes couldn't really be any more different. The ALPHAFLY 3 is certainly a lot more present on foot. Very unique sock-like upper here that you've got on both this one and the Endorphin Pro 4. In fairness, it's all about that stretchy knit-like tongue that we have on both shoes. A little less width in the forefoot and the heel in the Endorphin Pro 4. And I'd say you've got a more standard kind of carbon plate feel in the Saucony shoe this time around. I would suggest there's a little bit more responsiveness across the whole of the footbed in the Saucony shoe, which I think comes from that Power Run HG layer that we've got atop the Power Run PB PEBA foam. I think that does elevate the Pro 4 away from the Pro 3 somewhat. Now I have to say I love both of these shoes at marathon pace, and when I say marathon pace I'm kind of trying to figure out exactly what that is, because I have a very different perception of that as opposed to my Stride FootPod and my Garmin. Both of those reckon that I could run a marathon in 3 hours and 7 minutes. I do find that a little bit dubious, something along the lines of 7 minutes 15 per mile. Maybe. I mean, that type of pace feels fantastic in both of these shoes, I have to say. I do love the slightly more aggressive outsole that we've got on the Pro 4 though this time around. So I think that puts the nose of the Saucony out in front a little way, but if I had to have one pair just for training and racing, it would have to be the ALPHAFLY 3. I think traditionalists may actually prefer the Saucony, but this one for me is just pure magic, especially on those longer runs. I think also where I've put 100 miles into the other pair, I pretty much know what I'm going to get out of that one, and it just feels better and better the more I use it. And certainly where you get to the later sections perhaps of a marathon, this one's probably going to help me out a little bit. I kind of like the fact that the ALPHAFLY 3 is pretty good once you've broken it in, but out the box, don't have to change it. I have changed up the laces in my pair of the Endorphin Pro 4. The stock laces were a little bit stretchy for me. These are out of the Endorphin Rift, that sort of trail shoe, but they are excellent in terms of their sort of rigidity. They're not so flexible, and also they're not quite as long. That has improved the fit of the Endorphin Pro 4 no end. So a slightly cheaper option than the ALPHAFLY 3. Yes, it's still a very high price for this one, but it's a banger and pretty versatile across the half and full marathon distance. And I think it's going to be pretty durable too. I've got very little wear whatsoever to even worry about right now. Though both of these shoes are not my choice for 5 or 10k. There's just too much midsole there for me. I want a little bit more responsiveness. Do check out my recent video where I break down my top shoes for each popular race distance if you want some more details. I'll put a card up here somewhere. So if I had to have one pair for my marathon, like next April, Manchester, London, whatever it's going to be, maybe I'll do one later in the year. If I had to have one, I think I'd just err on the ALPHAFLY 3 right now. I've just had some really good experiences in that one so far, but it's really close. I can hardly draw a line between these two. Okay, so next shoe is the METASPEED Sky Paris from ASICS. This, of course, is my half marathon and 10k PB shoe. I put it on and it always feels amazing on foot and seems to get a good performance out of me, even in training, in fact. I do believe that's a little bit down to the extremely light nature of this shoe. I am 6'3", but I am pretty light in terms of what my weight should be for my height. I do quite like the narrow nature of this one. It does really get you up onto your forefoot, makes you rely less on that big stack of foam. Perhaps makes it an option for me that's a little bit more tuned to the half marathon distance and lower. I think if I use this in a marathon, I just run far too quickly. It's not better to burn out than to fade away in that case. Or is it? I don't think it's good to do either of those things, in fact, in a marathon. The Endorphin Pro 4 is a little bit more width there in the heel, and again, that's why I think it's perhaps a little better suited to the marathon. And slightly better durability so far. I think the PEBA-based foam that we've got in the METASPEED Sky Paris, it is a little bit more fragile. You do have to watch out for it. Though, bizarrely, there's a touch more width in terms of the internal room that you have within the upper in the ASICS. Just a bit more space there, perhaps if you've got some more voluminous toes. It's a little bit more narrow here. It feels a little bit more like a race car, though nowhere near as present in the Saucony in the arch area of the shoe. In terms of lockdown in the ASICS, I haven't had to switch up the laces. These work perfectly. They're those like perforated type. I do love the fact though in the Saucony shoe that they've placed in an insole there of Power Run PB. Really does amplify the cushion. And perhaps it's another reason why the extra weight that we've got in the Pro 4 versus the ASICS METASPEED Sky Paris, almost messed up there, makes it more of that sort of marathon option where you want a little bit more of a forgiving feel over the miles. This one's been minimized as much as possible to bring that weight down. I mean, it's still mega squashy, forgiving and cushioned, though both of these options will really let you let it rip when you need to. I did have a pretty fast 10k time recorded in the Endorphin Pro 4, but the PB in the METASPEED Sky Paris says it all really. Super breathable, and I love the design here. One of the best ever, in fact. So no real shame on the Saucony being beaten into second place. It's still like the better marathon option for me. I'm holding these back a little bit, ready for the Bristol Half Marathon in May. Maybe I'll see you there. Last shoe up in the comparisons today is the Saucony Endorphin Speed 4. So this time out this year, there's a much bigger difference between the Speed 4 and the Pro 4. I think in the original first two iterations of these shoes, there was very little to split between them really, other than the lack of a carbon plate in the Speed model. Many actually preferred the Endorphin Speed over the Pro. It was a little bit more malleable, not as significantly rigid as the Pro. I think the nylon plate just allowed people to flex the shoe a bit more, and some people loved it even for the marathon. I think I remember Kofuzi running like a time trial, you know, like a long distance time trial, and he chose the Speed to do that. The Speed 4 does feel like the designers have been told to split the two models apart a bit more this time round, perhaps provide some runners with more of a reason to pick up both rather than just going for the speed or for the pro. It is much heavier now, and partly due to the stability elements that they've added. It's just a weird addition when you consider that the shoe's called the Speed. A little less stack here in the midsole when you compare it up against the Pro 4, and a touch more width in the heel too. So very much a trainer now to familiarise yourself, perhaps if you're going to use the Pro 4 in a race, but I can't say that that stability element works for me. Even when I put the shoe on, I can feel it underfoot, in the very sort of back section of the shoe, just in front of the ball of my foot. I can actually feel that sort of rigid sort of plastic piece there. It doesn't feel good. Maybe that's a little bit down to the insole. I am going to switch out the laces in this one and also the insole to see if I can relieve the issue. But I think perhaps this one's taken a turn towards being more of a trainer now, and it's not perhaps a super shoe as such, though it's still got that super shoe price. I think the Boston 12 really makes for the best, you know, midsole with some extra additives, and it's a lot cheaper than this one too. I gotta be honest, if you had to have one, you'd go for the Pro. I think it's durable enough that you don't need to worry too much about it sort of degrading over time. You could use it in your premium training sessions, in your long runs, and it'd still be fine to race in. A lot more breathable as well. The upper's quite a bit thicker here. I think the extra weight and still the quite high price mean that a lot of people will probably just opt for the Pro 4 this time around. Okay, that's all my comparisons for today against the Saucony Endorphin Pro 4. Have you picked up a pair of these? Have you compared it against some of the other shoes that I featured in today's video? Let me know your thoughts and your opinions, because I'd love to see them down in the comments. Musical interlude time, and I've got another certified banger to put into your high speed playlist. Motorhead, the Live in England 1981 edition, is the track you want. Again, it's one that's going to be a rallying call if you're going to do some sort of very fast repetition. Perhaps you just need to really get yourself psyched up, you know, increase the energy levels somehow. Lemmy can do it for you. This is frantic, it's crazy, it's wild, it's fast. It's all the things that good rock and roll should be. So I love Lemmy, really. It's just rock and roll immortalized in a man. Kind of strange as well that he used to play bass, you know, on stage, but you always think of him as being the rock and roll master. He made a great kind of rhythm guitar sound using a bass guitar, so that just about says it all. He had the character, and certainly it's really apparent in this song. Love Motorhead, and it's always kind of cool when you've got a name of a band and they have a track called Motorhead. I just think that's fantastic. Add it into your high-speed playlist, people. Motorhead by Motorhead. Thanks for tuning in, and I hope you enjoyed today's video. We're really cooking in terms of views and subscribers and all that type of stuff. Thanks to the members, thanks to all of the viewers. I really appreciate it. Hit that subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up, like, and drop me a comment down below. My name's EDDBUD, and I'll be seeing you